Every week on this show, I like to pause and consider those fellow travellers who set out to do good, to make the world a better place for others. This week's Great Briton is 74-year-old Dennis Carver from Berkshire, who last year donated one of his kidneys to save the life of a stranger. And if that wasn't enough of a sacrifice, Dennis is planning to cycle 500 miles from Edinburgh to Oxford to raise much-needed funds for the charity Give a Kidney. Dennis joins me now. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you.
Donating a kidney, that's another level. Tell me why.
I did more research after I donated than I did before. But there's 3.5 million people in this country are suffering from chronic kidney disease. Most of them don't know it because it's not advanced. But 68,000 of them are in stage 5 kidney failure. And of those, 30,000 are on dialysis. Now, fortunately, there are people that come to the rescue. Unfortunately, 2/3 of them are deceased, because that's where most of the kidneys come from every year. 1,000 of the others come from living donors, but they're usually relatives and friends. A small portion, about 100 a year, sometimes less, are people that donate and they don't know where it's going, and they don't mind. And what I'm trying to do is raise awareness of the fact that you can give a kidney and lead a normal life afterwards. Give a Kidney is the charity that focuses on that, and I'm working with them to do the transplant tour in September, where we're going to be calling at 7 transplant centres up and down the country.
Do you feel different? Has it had a physiological effect on you?
Not at all. Mentally, it's been a bonus.
How so?
I feel much better by doing it. I had a good recovery. I was fit beforehand. There are various levels of fitness, of course, and sometimes with a family they might not be as fit as I was, family member, but I was fit. Within 7 weeks of donating, I was back on the bike doing my regular 35-mile ride.
And you don't know who received your kidney?
No, I don't.
Do you get any feedback at all?
None. Well, you're not entitled to any feedback.
No.
The only feedback I got was from one of the surgeons who came to my bedside the following day after my op and said that your kidney has been transplanted and it's working well.
It's quite something, isn't it, Emma? I really, ever since I heard about this story, I've gone over and over it in my head. You know, the idea of one thing to give it up for a loved one or a family member, but just to give it on trust.
Well, I just think it's extraordinary, particularly because, like you were saying, you're not entitled to that feedback. And I think we're currently in the period of Lent where a lot of people are thinking about charity as, you know, part of that. Some people give something up, but they also encourage to donate to charity. And I just think that, you know, it's a perfect time for people to maybe consider that this is something that they might not have thought that they could do. And that you, through your sort of being a spokesperson and also through going on this cycling tour, are a perfect sort of flying example of how you can get by without a kidney. And maybe people should consider it. I think I'm probably too cowardly to, which is a horrible indictment of me.
It's humbling testimony, don't you think, Jacob, the idea of surrendering something as precious as a vital organ, and not to someone you know, to someone you'll never know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm actually kind of curious about whether wouldn't you want to know? Do you think people should have do you think that person should be able to get in touch with you if they want to say thank you? Those are the kind of things. Of course, they would complicate the kind of pure charity of the action. The moment that you can kind of get the praise for doing it feels very different. But if I did it, I'm probably not going to, but if I did it, I'd kind of want to know who it was, want to know how they're doing. Is
the ball in the recipient's court? I mean, if they want to reach out, can they?
They can.
Right.
They can go through the NHS blood and transplant, and they can write. They can just contact it anonymously if they want. NHS blood and transplant do provide templates for people, but those are mostly for writing to the families of the deceased, and that's got to be tough.
But knowing that transformative effect that you've had, I mean, to get someone off of dialysis and let them go back out to just living a normal life, as you say, the mental...
The reward is, the reward's immense.
Tell me about the cycle ride then. What is the philosophy there, and what sort of people take part?
At the moment, I think I mentioned earlier that I'd done a couple of rides before. My midlife crisis ride, if you like. That was 20 years ago.
Is that...
That was 2 years afterwards, but that's the one there, where we managed to raise £64,000 in 2001 for Leukemia Busters.
Goodness me.
And we repeated it 2 years later and raised another 45,000. But I realised that the rides that I was organising were a bit tough sometimes. I mean, that was 1,400 miles in 16 days.
Right.
And no rest days like these wusses on the Tour de France, you know what I mean? They get a day off a week. We didn't. And I went back into ordinary work, if you like. And it wasn't until I became semi-retired that I thought that I might have the time to do this. I'd heard about it on the radio from some lady that had been interviewed probably about 10 years ago. I heard that she donated to someone that she didn't know. So in some ways it was at the back of my mind. I used to be a blood donor irregularly, but of course that gets replenished.
Is it a ride for people who've given a kidney?
No.
No.
Not at all. I'm fortunate I've got the chairman of the charity who's signed up. He did give a kidney, as most of the people that are involved with it have done. But none of the others have, and I know that some of them never will and some of them can't. But they're all cyclists, and what I'm looking for now is another 20 people that I don't know, like I didn't know who got my kidney. I'm not asking them to give anything other than their support and to gain publicity by having as many people as we can on this ride.
Where can people find you and give money to this ride, or indeed find out a whole lot more about what it is that you've been doing?
www.thetransplanttour, all one word, .co.uk. And that will take them through to the page that is associated with the ride. And from there they can fill out a Contact Us page, and I will follow that up.
It's an amazing story, Dennis. You're so modest about it. I'm sitting here thinking that here is a man who has taken some vital functioning part of his body and given it to a stranger.
But I waited till I was 73.
No, it doesn't matter.
Other people that do it in the 20s and 30s, those are the ones that I really admire.
Well, I really admire you. Great Britain, Dennis Carver, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brilliant story.